Good morning, Odysseyers. Welcome to another special edition of Morning Coffee with Mike. Thanks for joining me, being part of the channel, supporting the channel, sharing these videos, getting this out there. What a gorgeous, beautiful day we're having. We're in second last or almost the last week of October. So more solar panels have arrived. So I'm going to be upgrading the shed for you guys with my solar charging emergency area. It looks like it's going to be powering my heat of my furnace if the power goes down. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. So what is happening? Well, there is a lot happening. And inflation. And I'm getting bombarded with so many emails, so many people just sending me articles, and I love it. I love it. Keep sending them, folks. I do take the time to look at them. I printed out 7 or 8 of them from different emailers. Inflation is a major deal. It could be combated, or the one very tool to hedge against inflation or to adjust inflationary measures is by raising interest rates. Now, raising interest rates creates, or the bad debt falls off, or the debt that people over leverage falls off. But could the banks handle that kind of hit, right? The Prime Minister of Canada is nowhere to be found. Leaders are kind of disappearing into the background. It looks like COVID is starting to take a back seat. Yes. Oh, yes. It's starting to take a back seat. It's not front and center anymore. Remember, guys, 2017 was the year of the bail-in. 2018 was the year of the repo market. 2019 was the year of the protest because everybody was sick of this. And then 2020 was the year of the lockdown. And 2021 is the year of the blood clots. And 2022, we're going to revert back to the protest. So what is happening? Well, here it is from CNN News is actually reporting. So they're actually on this because this needs to be told. This is way back in September 28, 2021. Home heating sticker shock. The cost of natural gas is up 180%. So they're going to obviously blame climate change. They're going to find a way to tie in with some word salad climate change. Americans should brace for a sticker shock on home heating costs as temperatures drop this fall and winter. So you're probably in Canada saying, okay, Mike, that's America. Canada's going to make it even worse. Canada's going to go out of its way to make it worse. Look how our healthcare system here in Canada has been chugging along. Huh? Prices for natural gas, the most common way to heat homes and leading fuel source for generating electricity, have surged more than 180% over the past 12 months. To $5.9 million British thermal units. Natural gas hasn't been this expensive since February 2014. The risk is that an early winter or extremely cold fall temperatures would force households to crank up the heat. That would further sink the nation's average stockpiles of natural gas that could lift the prices even higher. So that is a major issue that's happening. The natural gas, so here it is, somebody quotes here, if we get an early frost, it could get ugly. It could get ugly fast. So there it is, Director of Security. So people know that this is on the hook right now. So I've been looking at gas companies to potentially invest in. I think I'm invested in one natural gas company right now. I may look at more. So if it's not if it's not hitting your heating bills, it's going to heat your food. So now, I did quite a few videos, guys, over the last 7 years. Food is costing more than my rent. It's actually getting up there. The price of food is out of reach. The cost of living is getting out of hand. Inflation is going nuts. Inflation this, inflation that. Well, somebody actually took the time to find out what is happening with the food. So listen to this. Canada's food inflation figures were wrong. Critics say mainly because just 3 grocers supply the data. When they send out I guess, data or a survey, 98% of Canadians want this. 85% of Canadians love this. But they don't do this when it comes to food. They just deal with 3 grocers. Why don't they go to 98% of grocers instead of 5%? So Melanie Morrison gathers data on the prices charged by Canadian grocers for tens of thousands of products. But these days, Morrison runs a company based in Saskatoon called Better Cart Analytics. It is more interested in the price of just 3 items: condensed milk, peanut butter, and plain old butter. In September 2020, the price has dropped to $2.96. In September 21, it's back at $2.82. So she's saying we're seeing butter, the price. So she's only going on 3 specific items, household items. So she says we see butter range from $3.39 to $5.59. At the highest we've seen at $9.99. So check that out there if you get a chance. Powell flags rising inflation risk while playing down hikes. There it is right there. There it is right there. It's Bloomberg. Now, what's the problem with this, guys? Well, there's a major issue with this, okay? He's bringing forward inflation. Inflationary levels will spike. How do we curb inflation? How do we balance it? What do we look? How could we? Well, playing down rate hikes. He's playing them down. Why? Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell noted a heightened concern over the persistently high inflation, as he made clear that the central banks will begin tapering its bond purchases shortly, but remain patient on rising interest rates. So he kind of wants to use raising interest rates as the last measure. Wages haven't kept up in a lot of English-speaking countries since the last 30, okay, let's be conservative and say 25 years. Wages have not caught up to the cost of living, right? Not even nowhere near the cost of living, right? All right, let's go to the next article here. Powell's going to always, he's going to, who will come forward? Who will have the cojones? Let me just change pages here. Canada's inflation rate hits a fresh 18-year high. So this is the BBC. The BBC is reporting this. Canada's inflation rate hits a fresh 18-year high. Consumer prices in Canada has rose at their fastest rate in 18 years in September as the country continued to grapple with global supply chain issues. The annual inflation rate is hit 4.4 from 4.1% in August, its highest level since February 2003. The cost of transport, housing, and food all jumped, the country's official statistic agency says. Housing has been out of reach for locals for years, and the people that got on top of the bubble, I think if people bought in the last 2 years, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're starting to see a housing correction here in my town, and that's the signal when real estate agents pack up and move, right? That's when real estate agents leave town, is when they start to see the tapering of housing or correction of housing. Chinese money's running dry. The economy's been living off. Canada's been basically built off of money laundering, right? Its economy, its fake economic wealth, not its infrastructure. Its infrastructure was built from Europeans, European immigration that came, right? Financial experts worried about how Albertans' paychecks will hold up to soaring inflation. Again, September energy prices in Alberta were about 22% higher than the year ago. Did your wages go up 22% to offset this? Unless you're working in the government, or unless you're like maybe a mechanic that I don't know, washes finds used parts and charges as new. I don't know what ways, or you're a real estate agent, or whatever you're doing. Canada's inflation rate has increased more than 4% over the past year, something Alberta financial experts find concerning. And this is the CBC here, Canadians broadcasting crap. And they're gonna have to report on this, folks. They just can't let it hinge by the wayside. You see, nowadays they report on things. They have to report, especially when somebody gets caught. Politicians now come forward and say, I apologize for getting caught. You apologize for getting caught. You don't apologize for what you did. Apologizing for getting caught is a normal thing nowadays. So that's what we're at right now. So inflation, prices of goods will keep going up. This is nothing new on this channel. This has been 5-6 years. I remember I think my first inflation video, or the price of food is costing more than my rent, is like 5-6 years ago. That's why I left the city and I moved to this small town. See, this is going to be the no frills now. And there is everything there. Look at that. This is where I live. Nice small town. Lots of sun today for my solar panels. We're going to get a 3-day streak of sun. It keeps showing rain and clouds, but I don't see a rain cloud in the sky for miles anywhere. Nice, beautiful blue skies. Hanging with my daughter here today. And just hanging with my daughter and just chilling out. Morning coffee with Mike. Guys, link below to the Mike in the Night Tonight. It's going to be really good. Saturday night with Collins. Looks like the whole COVID narrative seems to be falling apart as inflation is going to take front and center now, with a lot of European countries dropping this whole narrative, and this whole, it's not happening anymore. So people aren't being convinced anymore, so they got to move forward with other things. But I don't know. I think Canada and Australia might keep it going for another 2 years, a year, while the rest of the world unlocks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Look forward to reading your comments. God bless. And that's Morning Coffee with Mike. I have spoken.